Hey, everybody, welcome to the Blue Collar Built Podcast, the show about two brothers who are sharing their experience as they're going through it. What's happening?
Not much.
I am your host, John, joined by my co host and youngest brother, Jake.
What up?
This will be YouTube #1.
Yeah.
So we're going to get this up and get it posted.
We decide we're going to post those other two we did already, just like right behind it, or
Yeah, I think we'll just go ahead and post those behind that, but I want to start with this one.
There should be 3.
There'll be 3 up here pretty quick. I do want to start with this one because I feel like it'll be our due diligence to kind of introduce ourselves to the people on YouTube. We have been podcasting for a little over a year now, though, on audio.
Yeah. What do we got? Like 60 something?
I think this is 62 or 63.
Yeah. Inching closer to 100.
So, yeah, if you're curious about the other stuff and don't want to follow on YouTube with the video, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you listen to your podcast.
And a couple of the first ones, I guess if there's new listeners on YouTube, a couple of the first ones we were working through some audio issues, I think.
Yes,
if I remember right. So
yeah. I mean, we were just
be aware of that.
Just getting started a year ago. So neither one of us are like,
I mean, we're still running
super tech savvy people. We were just trial and error. We're trial and error guys. As you'll find out as you listen, that's kind of the name of the game with this podcast. We're blue collar guys. We work with our hands and bust ass day in and day out. So
we're smart in our own rights.
We are, yeah. We can claim that, I think. So anyways, as I said, I'm the host, John. I've worked in the construction industry my whole entire life. My dad was a concrete guy, had a concrete company growing up. And I think once I was 10, I think I was on a job site for every summer since I started my own company, which is kind of the stories that you're going to hear now. I mean, Jake works for me, and we just tell our stories, share our experiences.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about like what you did before you did all this.
Well, skipping all high school, I went to college at Iowa State, and I majored in animal ecology and had a lot of fun in college. So right out of college, I went to work for the zoo, which is a tough gig to kind of get into. You kind of got to start as an intern for a while. But anyways, I had to quit that because they didn't pay me enough. And I went to a delivery company. And this is all within like the last 5 years. So I'm just giving you like a quick spigot of what I went through. So I quit the zoo, went to a delivery company, got paid really good there, unlike the zoo. And then you were also working there. That's kind of how I got the job in the first place. And then you decided to leave and go on to a different venture, which is the concrete company you have now.
Yep.
I think I stayed there for like a year, and you did a year by yourself.
I was about 9 months. I didn't make it a full year. I started in September and I left in May.
Yeah. So then, long story short, I ended up leaving that job and starting to help John now. And that's kind of when we kicked up the podcast. So
yeah, that was so the summer before you started working for me is when I kind of came to you with the idea for Blue Collar Built. So the idea behind the podcast is, if you go back and listen to some of the audio, we're going to kind of extend the story through YouTube again. We kind of discussed that a little bit.
Yeah.
That way it kind of clears up some of the audio issues we had in the beginning, and we kind of, re-inform people what's going on. But so far I've experienced a lot in life. I'm turned 33 in 2 days, and personally I feel like I've lived a lifetime since I got, out of high school. And I just want to share some of those experiences because I think there's a lot of people out there who go through the same things, and especially like 3 years ago, I started I guess the best way to put it is kind of a lifestyle change to become the best version of me that I can be. So I started knocking out bad habits. I started inputting good habits. I started watching how I eat. I started focusing on, how to grow my business, because I had a business before I started concrete. Um, and that business failed, and I had to file bankruptcy for that. And so there's a whole story behind that we'll tell again and touch on. Um, but it's just one of those things where you start talking to people in today's crazy world, and I should rephrase that. It seems crazy based off of the media, right?
Yeah.
We're led to believe that we're kind of in this, you know, one way or the other way kind of world. And when you're out on the street, when you're working for people, when you run into people at the store, the gas station, or it's a whole different vibe. It's not this crazy scary thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's just
100%.
doing their thing, and that's kind of what sparked the idea to do this, is just kind of get our story out and show, we're just simple guys.
Yeah.
This is
we
what we
have
do.
we have issues, and we're learning a lot of things. We're changing ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, because kind of tied in with when I started my lifestyle change journey, which I hate that. I wish there was a better way to say it, but you were kind of in the same boat. I mean, there were a lot of
Yeah.
things that you started changing up too, not too long
Yeah, I
after
mean,
I.
I kind of took after you. I mean, I'm still in the thick of it. I have a career now that I know I want to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
So that's comforting. But a lot of things in my life are still up in the air.
Right.
Especially right now is a difficult time for me because of the situation that I just got put in, but I mean, we're going to work through it.
Absolutely. And that's kind of like the tone of the podcast, is like working through to succeed, to
Mm-hmm.
be the best we can become. And I don't mean like, oh, we're going to be the best of the best. No, there's versions of yourself that I believe we can choose to live, and I want to live the best version of me.
Yeah. And nor is it we're doing this so we want other people to do this. No, we're just sharing what we've done. You do with it whatever you want.
Absolutely. And like a lot of, we talk about it a lot, but if you can take something from what we say, great. But if you have had a similar experience and you did it a different way, share that with us.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be on YouTube now. There's going to be comment section. Dude, share your story. We love hearing from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing brings me more joy than to see somebody else have overcome something or is improving their life in a certain way and also wants to share that with us. I mean,
Yeah.
we want to build a community around this of people who aren't like-minded. I don't want everybody to be the same. I want people to bring their own into it,
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the point of the podcast. And if you go back and listen to some of our stuff, that you'll kind of find out, what we're about, or just continue to follow us here on YouTube, and
Yeah.
you'll learn some more about our story. So
Yeah. I went through mine pretty quick, but there's definitely more to that, and we can talk, I guess, later on some of the things that I had to go through because it was like
absolutely.
my lifelong dream to work at the zoo, and I just said I quit it. I
Right.
didn't give you a reason why. I didn't give you any of this, but
No. Well,
just trying to catch everybody up to speed quickly.
yeah, and that's kind of the point of today, is just, we'll get into a topic here in a minute, but we want to introduce everybody to the Blue Collar Built podcast, because we have been going on now for a little while, and we're starting a new venture, and we can't upload all of our other stuff to YouTube. So this is kind of our short and sweet introduction. Um, I am married to a wonderful woman, and I do have two kids who are 14 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a nice little age span. Some of our stories involve them, and they're, the driving force of my life right now. So
Yeah, I'm
you'll,
kind of the opposite of you. I
yeah,
have no kids and no wife,
right. Unless
and
you include your roommate,
yeah,
which,
definitely.
yes, he won't be your roommate for much
No,
longer.
yeah, yeah, that's tough. But like I said, it's well, I'll work through it.
Absolutely.
I'll
Yeah.
work through it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. So maybe that's a kind of a good place to start. What kind of happened with all that?
Well, so we've been in an apartment for 3 years, same apartment for 3 years, and
Mhm.
then my roommate wanted to start looking for a house, and he found a house, and we thought it was locked in, and he was definitely going to get it. But turns out there's some issues with the house, so he had to back out of it. Well, we already signed our 30-day notice to leave the apartment. So I don't want to say we're getting screwed because we made the decision to do that, to sign that, and I think he called the other day and they're like, "Well, we can't get you into this apartment, the one that we're currently in.
Mhm.
It's already been sold. And to stay here, we would have to find a different apartment, move all our shit, and sign a year lease. So that's kind of out the window. And I want to stay with him because he's going to offer cheaper rent than an apartment would be, and I'll be able to save up money and move forward with my life from there. But so that's the situation I'm in. So I decided to ask mom and dad if I could stay with them for a while, which is very difficult for me. I don't know how I'm gonna. My head is just spiraling right now.
I get it, but it's not, it's not one of those things where it's like you're just being a piece of shit and like living with your
I
parents.
know,
You
but
know what I
there's no
mean?
other. It's hard to get out of that headspace though,
I
because
know.
it is reality. I
Yeah.
am moving back in with my parents. That's reality.
Right.
You know,
I totally get it, but don't beat yourself up too much about that
I'm trying not to. I'm trying to take it with just
cuz
the
it's
happy
not.
thoughts,
Yeah.
and I'll be in and out no time. But thank God for good parents.
Right.
I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Thank God for good parents, understanding parents, and me actually having that option to do that. I'm very
Right.
blessed to have that.
Yeah, but the fun thing, and the listeners will get to learn this about our family throughout our stories here. Um, our parents aren't the kind of parents who would let you move in if it was like a shitty circumstance. Like if you were just being a piece of shit and was like, I just want to move back in with you because it's easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
Our parents were definitely the kind of parents that instilled certain values within us.
Mm-hmm.
They're accepting and always open, to like this situation, but they would definitely be, I don't know how to put it, like not harsh, but they're just not like they raised us to live our own lives,
Yeah.
which is awesome. So outside of Jake and I, there's actually a middle brother, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on the podcast with us, and we'll get him back again here soon. But the three of us, I mean, our parents did an excellent job raising some hardworking dudes and taught us to earn everything that or work for everything we earn,
Yeah.
and that's just how it is. So I would say, them accepting you moving back in is they understand that you're in a position that I mean, there's really no other choice, other smarter choice for you
Yeah,
here.
that's what's difficult for me because it is a smart choice to move back in with them,
Mm-hmm.
but I really just want to go out and get my own fucking apartment.
Yeah, and
That it's teetering,
I get that, but it's no different than, um, in business when you decide to make a move. Sometimes you want to make a move a lot earlier than what you should.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two ways to look at that. You can look at it in the aspect of this is absolutely going to benefit me and it's worth the risk, or I'm being stupid about this and this is something that if I just continue to live below my business means, I can make this move a year from now. And so
Yeah.
sometimes it's better to just,
Yeah, it's a
bite the
swallow.
bullet.
Well, yeah, bite the bullet, swallow the pride. That's the issue I have right now is just swallowing my own pride.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're an adult male. Like, it's one of those things that you just go through,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nobody wants to move back in with their parents.
No, I'm interested to see though, because I mean, it's been probably 4 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I was living with them still after college when I was like 24 when I started working at the zoo.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but that didn't last long.
no, it didn't last very long because I started intern. I didn't even have a job at the zoo
Uh-huh.
right after college. I had to intern, and then luckily a position opened up in the building I was working at. So then I got essentially a seasonal, job
Yeah,
there.
that's when you got on there and started getting paid.
Yeah, yeah, and that took I think about three to 4 months actually, which
Mm-hmm.
was kind of crazy now I think about it. I was super lucky, but I'm interested to see. So 4 or 5 years have gone by, and
Uh-huh.
I think I've learned a lot and matured for 4 or 5 years worth. I'm interested to see how they look at me now because it's going to be different.
It,
They might
think
look at,
about how you're gonna look at them.
yeah, that
You know
too,
what I mean?
that
Like
too.
it's a whole different ball game when you're a kid and you have respect for your parents because they're your parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're an adult and you have your own values and your own opinions that you've formed over this course of experience that you've started to live your life, it's not that you don't have respect for your parents anymore because that's super important,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also allowed your own values, your own opinions to become your own person,
Yeah,
which I will say our parents will respect that. They aren't always
for
happy.
sure. I think they're just going to be shocked that, like, oh, because last time I lived with them, I was working at the zoo and I was just out of college. So I
Mm-hmm.
was still doing the stupid things I did in college. Like, I would stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning. I'd sleep till noon.
Right.
Where's Jake at? Oh, he's probably sleeping in the basement.
Right.
It's not going to
It's
be
gonna
like
be a
that.
different world
I'm
now,
going to be
right?
upstairs grabbing coffee at 7 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
getting ready for work, doing all these things. I think it's going to be weird for them. Also,
Yeah.
probably weird for me to see how they.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I'm curious to see how that turns out.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely somebody growing up, um, and I don't mean this in like a bad way because I think that my mom raised me to be, you know, the best that I could be under her watch. I was definitely the kid who was like testing the waters always.
Oh
I
yeah,
was the oldest boy,
yeah.
so
Your firstborn.
I was sneaking out, drinking, smoking at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all these stories, there's tons to tell. But, anyways, I was the one who really kind of pushed the limit and set the bar for you guys. So, mom and dad got a lot of first experiences with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, mom and I bumped heads quite a bit growing up because she had a vision of how raising her first child was going to be. And I think I stepped out of that quite a bit.
I feel like every firstborn probably does.
I know. And I know, like, I'm in her shoes right now with my kids, right? Like, I'm learning that I have this picture of what I think my kids should be doing, and it's not fitting with them.
Right.
And I'm learning how to accept that but still guide them to good behaviors.
Yes. Yep.
And I think as a parent that's the best you can be. But yeah, when I moved back in with mom and dad, after I got came back home from college after I dropped out, yeah, I made it like 3 months. Like I couldn't do it. But you're right, it's a whole different story, right? Because you're young, you think you've experienced certain things,
Mm-hmm.
and you move back in with your parents and you're still trying to like find yourself, and you're not really in that adult level where you're at right now. So I think it
Mm-hmm.
is different.
Yeah, I think it's going to be way different, but yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a cute little new kitten,
They
so
did get a cute
that's a
little
perk.
that is a perk. You get a kitten.
Yep.
And they still accomplish the whole older cat moving in with you. The only difference is you're moving in with the older cat.
Yep.
So they have a cat that's kind of on his last leg, and they wanted Jake's house to be his retirement place. Well, Jake and the cat are going to be together, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I start killing it and everything works out like I want it to, then hopefully I can just take that house right from them because I don't want to let that house go.
yeah,
Especially since if they're looking to move and I can take that over for them,
absolutely.
100%.
And I think you should do that. I think that would be
It's a little
great.
too much house, so I need to find a girlfriend
Yep.
and all that because they've made it apparent to me that it's a family house. So
Yeah.
I can't bachelor it up,
Right.
which I think that's a fair proposition.
Okay. I'm in with that. Just gotta get you out
Yeah.
meeting the one.
Well, that's what she was saying. She was like, "Well, just go over to John's house and work." I'm like, "I gotta work at Planet Fitness. Like, how am I? John's house doesn't just spawn girls, and
Right.
like I gotta go out and do things.
Out and do and be in society,
Yeah,
which to all the listeners, you'll come to find this out about me really quick. I'm not a social media guy. This podcast is about the closest I get to social media. I'm very in person to person.
Yeah, well,
Um,
our business and
Absolutely.
yeah,
You
John's
know,
Concrete
I've
Works.
always been that way. I I value conversations with people, and I would prefer to not have those. It even bugs me sometimes when people want to have full conversations over text. You know, I'd rather talk to you on the
Yeah,
phone. I want to hear your voice. I like that personal interaction, and I think that's what is kind of lacking in society today. And
yeah,
that's where I think some of the fear that's driven into our minds comes from, because we aren't out having conversations with people. We aren't out meeting people physically.
yeah.
So that'll be a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now that, I guess, last week they officially declared, you know, the pandemic is over. So,
Interesting, because I was going through my utilities today. This is a
uh-huh.
little sidebar, and I can't remember if it was Mid American Energy or Black Hills Energy, but they, when you canceled, they're like, well, you got to leave your name and your number in case we need access to certain things or whatever. And
Uh-huh.
then the last question is like, have you had COVID within the last 90 days? And I
Oh
had to say yes
goodness.
or no in case they come over and have to dick with shit to turn it
Oh
off or
goodness.
whatever. I
Okay.
was like, wait, what the fuck?
Right.
That came out of nowhere.
That is weird. And I think it's going to take time, and we'll talk about that too, because we obviously have our opinions about how all that was handled
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Well,
But
I mean, the whole country's seeing repercussions right now. I mean,
absolutely.
everything is fucking through the roof.
Oh yeah, I know.
Everything
It's, you
is.
know, and that's, I guess that's another kind of sidebar we should talk about, is we do try and do what we call the headline ops.
Yeah.
You know, every once in a while, so you can get a kind of an idea of where Jake and I's opinions and values and feelings are. We do
Yeah.
some headline opinions where we pull
Yeah.
up some mainstream headlines and we talk about them for an episode. So
Yeah. I mean, we just opinions, shoot the shit, you know.
yeah. And
Yeah.
those
Nothing
are
too serious.
no, but those are definitely podcasts where I like to hear other people's feedback, because I am trying to get beyond being one-sided in
Yeah.
my opinions, and the only way to do that is to, you know, have somebody else explain to you a different version of it.
Yeah. Just
So
in a different light.
yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a my way or your way. Like, let's have a conversation around it. And
I actually love that because it shocks you. Sometimes you're dead set. You're like, oh, I know this. Like
right,
this is my opinion, and someone's like, well, have you looked at it from the? And then you're like, whoa.
I
And
didn't
then the
even
whole
think about
fucking
that.
thing can change.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
We
it's
definitely
nice.
need more of that.
Even some of the conversations that you and I have, because even though I think we're fairly similar in some of our values and
Yeah,
stuff,
we definitely have different views.
I'm very bullheaded on some stuff. But ever since you started working for me and we have these conversations in the truck on the way to the job, it's like sometimes it's stuff that is eye opening to me, because it's something I would have never thought about from a different point of view.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I do my best anymore to not criticize and just gather information, because that's what it's
Yeah.
about.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah, and I think you can. I mean, you can change your opinion on things as you learn. You know, the idea that this has always got to be this way is kind of a naive thought to have, anyways.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's just like
learning that
so
as I get
tight.
older. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. You'll just be strung out and so tight, I feel like, to just have it opens you up.
Yeah.
Just take information in and then, yeah, form your opinions that way.
Yeah, and then, you know, who knows? That might make your opinion or your value even stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important. That's also exactly what this is about: creating the conversation, having the discussions,
Mm-hmm.
talking about, you know, our experiences, what we've learned, sharing that with people so they can take what they take, and maybe they can share some stuff with us.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. Um, but yeah, this is kind of our intro to YouTube. It gets a little more spicy, I think. Like I said, if you go back and listen to some of our podcasts on the streaming platforms, you'll kind of get an idea, and we'll just
Yeah,
kind
we'll
of
do
keep.
some different rounds on them because there's the conversations we've had in 30, 40 minutes that
Mm-hmm.
could go for 2 hours. So we're going to do, I think, a smart idea would to be do part twos on those and,
Absolutely.
re.
Well, and I want to do that because some of the stuff, as you mentioned before, when we were getting going, were good conversations, but the audio was shit. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to like
Mhm.
listen through those. And if we go back and kind of touch base on that now that we
Mhm.
got things kind of figured out,
Yeah.
it'll be good.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's all I got for this week. It was short and sweet, just kind of an intro for everybody.
Mhm.
Um, please reach out to us in the comment section on YouTube. You can reach out to us on Facebook and Instagram at the Blue Collar Built Podcast. You got anything else for these folks?
No, I don't think so.
All right, we'll see you back here in a week, and hopefully we'll have more to say.